Sierra Papa, 5 miles west of the field inbound to land runway 4, over.
My student is at 1,000 feet. A beam is aiming point, and I've just pulled the throttle to idle. As far as the airplane is concerned, the engine has failed. He now has about 90 seconds to land. From this moment on, he has exactly the energy the airplane has right now. No more, no less. And he has one job: make the runway. I'm Jim Carroll, a certified flight instructor, and I'm going to walk you through the 3 approaches with this same student. 2 landings, 1 go-around, and the lesson that turned the worst attempt into the best one. Approach 1. A beam the aiming point. At pattern altitude, we pull the power.
That trim.
First thing I'm watching for, does he pitch for best glide? Yeah, within about 2 seconds, the nose comes up. By 7 seconds, the airspeed stabilizes. Good. A few moments later, he turns base. And this is where he notices he's high. He was about 100 feet high on the downwind. Now he has a problem. Too much energy. If he does nothing, he'll land long. Or worse, float past the end of the runway. He squares up the pattern to lose altitude on base, but turning final, he's still high. Watch what he does. He puts the airplane into a forward slip. Ailerons one way, rudder the other. The airplane flies slightly sideways. This is dramatically increasing drag without changing airspeed. He's bleeding off altitude on purpose. A forward slip isn't pretty, but it's one of the most effective tools for dumping excess energy. He holds the slip to about 50 feet, neutralizes the controls, aligns, and touches down. He had too much energy, recognized it, chose a tool, and used it correctly. The slip saved the approach. What he did relies on a principle that governs every approach you ever fly. Before we go on to the second approach, let's take a look at it. An airplane carries 2 forms of energy: altitude and airspeed. Every landing is a controlled trade between them. Think of a car coasting downhill. Gravity accelerates it without extra power. Airplanes behave the same way. Pitch down, and you convert altitude into airspeed. Pitch up, and you can convert airspeed into altitude. With the engine running, you can also add energy with the throttle. But with the throttle at idle simulating an engine failure, you can't. When the engine fails, the airplane has a fixed energy budget, and every second the pilot is spending it. The question is whether he's spending it wisely and whether he has enough to make the runway. What you just watched in Approach 1 was energy management in real time. The student had too much energy, recognized it, and used the slip to spend it before he reached the runway. Now let's see what happens when the student doesn't act in time. Let's watch Approach 2. Same setup. Power pull to beam the aiming point. He pitches for best glide and starts trimming, but not quite enough. He's a little fast. That extra speed adds drag, and he begins sinking. He senses he won't make it and turns more directly towards the runway. Now, he's fixed his glide speed, which means he's now going to make the runway, but he'll be high. This is why trimming for best glide early is critical. If your airspeed is drifting, your glide distance is drifting too. You can't judge the approach if the airplane's energy state is changing underneath you. Now, he still has tools. shallow S-turns, more flaps, or an early aggressive slip. But he waits a little bit. When he finally slips, it's too late. The runway slides beneath us. He calls a go-around, power in, pitch for climb, clean up. Now, this is the most important moment really in the entire video. A go-around is not a failure. He recognized the energy state had gotten away from him, and he refused to force the bad landing. That decision, choosing not to land when the landing isn't the right answer, it's one of the hardest things to teach. Every fiber of pilot ego says, I can save this. But too many accidents start with someone trying to salvage an approach that really needed a go-around. Because this was a simulated engine failure, the go-around was available. There's no emergency here, just a training exercise that didn't work out. The right answer is to fly the airplane around and try again. Never force it. That's the lesson of approach 2. Now let's see what happens on approach 3. Same setup. Power pulled a beam aiming point.
Let's hold E here. Here's a hold, yeah.
He turns base and squares up the pattern, giving himself a clear view of the runway. As he begins to turn final, he senses he's high, and this time he acts immediately. Flaps in, forward slip. He's using the tools early before the turn is even complete. By the rollout on final, the energy is perfect. The approach is stable. Slip out, flare, touchdown. Best approach of the day, and it happened because of the go-around. He learned more from the failed attempt than from the successful one. And that's how training works. The mistake taught him to act earlier, and on the third try, he did it. Now there's 3 takeaways from this lesson. 1, the pattern's uniquely challenging place for a power loss. You don't have much time. You have to train for it and know your plan. 2, you have to know your tools. Flaps, slips, S-turns, and pattern shape. If you wait until short final to realize you're high, your options shrink fast. 3, on every normal approach, brief the go-around. And say it out loud if it helps. If this approach isn't stabilized by 300 feet, AGL, I'm going around. Practice the call on routine landings, so it's automatic when the conditions actually require it. A go-around isn't a failure, it's a tool. The next time you're out practicing landings, try a few at power idle. Pull the throttle, beam the aiming point, and test yourself. If you're feeling a bit rusty, bring another pilot. Or if it's been a while since your last training session, go up with a CFI. Then, if the day comes that you need to do it for real, you'll know you'll make the runway.